I give us an 85%.
I give us a 90. See, different. I give us a 90%. I think we do pretty well.
I think an A is giving yourself a little bit of an out. A B makes you want to work harder.
Okay. Hey fam, welcome to the Co-Life. So for all of you that do not know, Brian and I have been business partners for how long?
2.5 years.
Has it been? No, with flips too.
3 years.
I can honestly say that now we have come to a really good rhythm of working together as partners.
But it did not start very well.
No.
But it's great now. We're in a really good rhythm. We're in a really good place with how we operate and work together. So today we wanted to talk about what it's like to be in business with your spouse and some key things that we think for us works and how we operate together.
All right, so in the beginning of our marriage, we actually talked with a counselor, and one of the biggest questions that she asked us was, have we ever done a big project together?
Yeah,
have we ever worked together before?
She said, what was a big project that you guys worked on together and you did it? And we were like, got married.
Right.
That's a project.
It really wasn't a project because we had a lot of people helping us. And throughout marriage, we realized that we are very different in how we work together. You guys let us know which one you are. I am a collaborative thinker. I like to have a bunch of people's thoughts and kind of, end up making my own thoughts based on what other people say and be like, oh, this is a good idea. What do you think about that? That's the way that I like to work.
And I'm a very independent thinker. I don't necessarily wait around for other people to, collaborate and share and this and that. Like, I'm a very solo-based worker.
For you guys that have watched some of our older videos, one of the things that I told about Brian is that if you were in middle school and he was part of a group project and you guys had to do a science project, he would just finish the project and put all your names on it.
We're getting an A on that assignment regardless. It's happening.
And I'm like, that's not teamwork. You did not teach them teamwork. But that's the way that Brian works. And he is a lot better. Worked. You are a lot better now. And also for me, I had to learn how to do stuff on my own. It was almost like a nervousness of mine to actually have to do stuff on my own. It's like, wait, I want somebody with me. Come with me to do this. What do you think about this? And it's like, no, I did have my own mind, but I think I needed to pull that in a little bit more.
Well, I think for a while you also struggle with your voice and is your opinion valued the way that it should be valued? And you went through a season where you were really trying to grapple with that thing. But I think you eventually felt the confidence to not only assert yourself in your opinion, but be proud of that and be confident with that. And, this is what I think and this is what we're doing.
But with all of that being said, we discovered a lot about each other and we've learned to kind of mold our work ethic and just how we formulate our business. I would say by the time we started YouTube and the flips and even our house, we understood how to work together. Didn't mean that it was easy to do all of those things together, but I feel like at this point we kind of have a gist on what worked and what didn't work. And we're just giving stuff for our marriage and hopefully there's some tips that you can take from that.
Number one, the most important thing that we learned working with your spouse in a big project or in business, especially, is that your marriage comes first.
Yeah.
No matter what, no ifs, ands, or buts, no question of priority. The actions and the work always take second place.
Yeah, and I think that's important because there's so many people out there that want to do a nonprofit with their spouse or want to start a YouTube with their spouse or, start an Instagram page or do whatever with their spouse. And you have to see is this going to mesh with your marriage?
Again, we talked about one of our videos a couple months ago about our biggest argument. But during that time, Lexi and my marriage is so important to us that we've always said we'll walk away from anything if it's coming between us or if it's hurting our marriage. We always said it. And I will be honest, it is easy to say that. And it is not as easy to actually do it. There came a point when Lex and I had a very candid conversation with each other and we looked at each other and said, do we need to walk away from everything right now to make sure that we're okay? And it wasn't a matter of us not working together well. It wasn't a matter of us, getting into a bunch of arguments or anything. It was just a very tough season. Yeah. And our marriage comes first. So if we have to give up all these other things to give us time and space and energy to work on our marriage, then we were willing to do that.
Yeah.
Now we identified that we didn't think that's not what was hindering us, and that's not what needed to happen. And we spent some time
in prayer and all that to make sure that.
It was the same thing with counseling even. Like when we initially did counseling, I said I was always willing to do it if we needed it.
But then when it was actually time, it was a little hesitant, which we can put that link up. But yes. Next one. Do you guys have the same goals and visions for this project? One person can see it as a paid hobby. The other person can see it as this is going to be the financial savior for their whole family.
It's going to put you in retirement.
It's going to put you out of retirement. And those are totally different. We are very big on talking about what is the goal for each project that we have done and how are we going to implement that into our everyday life? How serious are we going to take it?
This isn't just one conversation that needs to be had for us. This is a consistent conversation. This is like an ongoing, maybe quarterly in the year, 4 times a year conversation between us. Because as Lexi said, one person thinks it's a paid hobby and that will cause them to put a little effort in it. But if it doesn't work out, not a big deal. They're kind of taking it relaxed. If another person sees it as a true business venture and they're going hard and they want to put in the time, the work, and the effort, there could be resentment and bitterness as to why the partner's not putting in that same amount of effort. And that can cause, again, rifts in the relationship.
In having that conversation, you'll see the difference in consistency. To give an example, like even with us doing YouTube, we were going into YouTube without
we had no intentions
of this becoming a business. And I know people say that we legit had no idea what YouTube could do. We had no idea. And so we still have the same purpose in mind. We see this as a community, but we also see it as purposeful because we want consistency, because we care about quality. And I think people saw that before we even started to see this as a business. Regardless if we saw it as a business or not, that's something that me and Brian talked about, and we knew that's what we wanted to do.
Because as things evolved with it and as growth came, we shifted and we had multiple conversations around what that shift looks like.
Yeah, and what we wanted to stay true to and all of that. Those are conversations that we consistently remind ourselves and make sure that we care about our community. We care about the people and us talking and us communicating. Those are things that we've talked about and we want to stay consistent with.
Yeah, and even though there is a business aspect to this, absolutely, the other components are more important to us still.
Yeah.
And we put that and embed that into everything we do. But I would also say that it is okay if the amount of time that one individual spends or the amount of effort that one individual puts into the business is more than the other person.
Yeah.
If it's agreed upon.
Yes.
I still have a full-time career that I'm very invested in, that I spend 40, 50 hours a week working in.
Yeah.
So the amount of time investment is not the same for me as it is for Lexi.
Yeah.
But we have an understanding of what roles and responsibilities we have, and it works out.
One quick thing is just making sure that you're not dragging the other person to do a goal that just one spouse wants to do. Making sure that you both are willing and ready to take on this project, take on this new career or this entrepreneurship that you're trying to do. Make sure that it's both of you passionately wanting to do it. And it may not mean that every single part that you're super excited about. If you have a role or you have one part of it that you absolutely love and you're going to take on this part, then take on this part with passion. Respect the business side enough that you would give your all to this part of the business.
And I think we talk about business and we talk about projects, but I think it's also even something like ministry, right? If someone is involved in ministry in some capacity, in a specific ministry, the spouse does not automatically by de facto have to be in a leadership role in the ministry right alongside.
That's us. We believe that.
That's our personal opinion. Now you're united, so you should always be in a supportive place. You should always be helping them in whatever capacity God has for you, but you may be called to different aspects of ministry. That doesn't always mean working completely hand in hand in that role.
Yeah.
And it's the concept of being dragged. And again, thinking about a business perspective, one person really pushing the business, the other person doing it because they just feel obligated to, that's not going to last for a good working relationship. And again, that is different than Lexi going and starting a business and me encouraging her and me praying for her and me listening to her, maybe throwing out some ideas, but that would be her business that she's pushing. But if I'm going to be involved, we're going to be business partners, I can't be dragged along. I have to be passionate in this thing and care about it with just as much vigor. A
lot of people, you hear the conversation about how you start YouTube and, you know, spouses. I feel like you hear, I didn't want to start it. I was dragged in it. And I'm like, I did not want that for me and Brian. I wanted to really make sure, like, look, do you want to do this? Do we want to do this? Is this something that is you would want to be consistent in, because I care about finishing something? So all of that matters. And that goes into number 3, roles and responsibilities. That is huge for us.
Yeah.
We respect each other's roles and responsibilities. And I know for a fact that I try to make sure that I respect Brian's job. I respect what he's doing. And I don't try to interfere with him working his full-time job. I try to make sure that he has time to give his me time, to have his space, to make sure that he has time for just us and Aza. We can spend time together. And then also when it's time to work, Brian's on that other end too, making sure that we are there. You know, we're able to work, we're able to shoot, we're able to do stuff because he cares about my roles and responsibilities and our roles and responsibilities with our channel and our other businesses too.
We have a platform, a very unique platform for us to share our lives. But the most important thing is to share what God is doing in our lives and how God works through us.
Yeah.
The challenges of life, etc. So that is something that we are very passionate about. We don't try to tell people what to do. We just let our lives do the discussing and have the conversation with you all. So if that's something that we're passionate about, then I'm just as invested spiritually, emotionally, mentally as Lexi. But the time frame might be different, you know, and what Lexi does for the business and for the channel is going to be different than what I contribute, right? The conversations that she has with the different people involved on the back end is different than me, but we come together, we talk about our content, we talk about the topics, we brainstorm on that, and we talk about where this is going in the future, and we're both very invested, but we know what each person's supposed to do.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. That way that there's no confusion. And if there is a rift in roles and responsibilities, we can go back to conversations and be like, okay, wait, was there confusion when we talked? Was there miscommunication? All that.
And the last thing on this piece is that it's really important to understand what each person excels in, because Lexi is really good at certain things that I'm not as gifted in. There's some things that I'm very gifted in that she does not have the same skill for.
Yeah.
And so when both our opinions matter in every conversation. Both of our opinions are valued. But in certain categories, one person's opinion may hold more weight than the other person's because of the research they've done, the time they've spent, the expertise they have in that area, and we respect that. So a fourth aspect of what we find really important, a true work-life balance. Now, I'm a full believer in everything work-life balance. Life has to be balanced. It cannot be out of whack.
It's important.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's sometimes difficult to do this, but keeping business and personal separated.
Yeah.
When you're in a business meeting with your spouse, be in the business meeting. Be serious about it, be intentional about it, give it the time and energy that business meeting requires. It's not that we don't talk about personal things in those meetings,
it's like we have fun, but it's also fun, like...
But we're making things happen.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, when we're on date night and when we're just around each other, it's easy to bring up business because it's so ingrained in our lives. But we do try to separate that and make sure that we have plenty of time where we don't ever talk about it.
Do you feel that we do a good job with that?
For the most part, yes.
There have been times where we've talked about it, but we've caught ourselves like, you know what? Let's just talk about this later. Because it's interesting because this person is a business partner and also your husband and your friend. Like, it's just like you want to talk about stuff. I would say for the majority, I feel like we do a good job with that.
I give us an 85%.
I give us a 90. See, different. I give us a 90%. I think we do pretty well.
I think an A is giving yourself a little bit of an out. A B makes you want to work harder.
Okay. Last one. I want to be honest. When it comes to working with your husband,
be honest. Tell him about it.
And he's your business partner.
Yes,
it is not always going to be sunshine and rainbows.
It won't be.
Let's just be honest. Like, we are very big on energy and making sure that we are in a good space to do anything when it comes to projects, business, YouTube, all of that. We don't want to have bad memories of doing stuff. I feel good when I work with my husband. When I think about working with my husband, I think it's great. I think it's a positive. But I want to make sure that I have more good memories than I would like us going back and forth or having bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just say we're shooting a video or something. If we are not in a good space with each other, if we are seeing the residue and the effects of a previous argument that we have just still feeling some type of way, we will postpone shooting. There are certain things that we are just absolutely flexible and will shift because, again, going back to our very first point, marriage comes first. And that's not ever to say you know our channel. Like, we will talk about our issues. We will talk about our frustrations. We'll talk about the challenges of marriage and all that good stuff. But we just choose not to get involved with the work unless we're in a good place.
Yeah. And if we're talking about something fun, I was like, I actually want to feel the fun. I want to feel excited. If we're talking about something heavy, I want to make sure that I'm connected with him so he could be there. We could support each other talking about something heavy. I think when people start to be fake, that's when people feel that energy. And I don't think that that's something that I ever want to do, is show fake or being funny.
And it's not even that people feel energy, because I believe that they will, but that goes against what we're here to even do.
Yeah.
Like, it goes against what we're passionate about doing. We're not passionate about showing a life that people should want, or a marriage that people should want. We're here to show what our marriage is.
Yeah.
Period. What God is doing in it and how God is changing us, good, bad, ugly. Like, we're just here to show what it is.
Yeah. So that is all of the tips that we could think of. We were trying to think of 5 big tips, and I think those were our biggest ones. I feel like we talked for a little while, but I hope this was effective. I hope that you got something out of it, especially for people that want to do some sort of work, some business, even if you want to start a YouTube or a ministry, do any of those things. These are things that work for us.
Or build a house, because that is a whole project in and of itself.
That's a whole project within itself. We love you guys. Let us know what you think of this video, and we will talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.